me and he checks in on me. Like, he's a good guy.
Jeffrey, first and foremost, I know a lot about Crohn's because I have a family member going through the same thing. What made you open up and discuss that with Mark?
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We're talking to you guys today really quickly. I will say really quickly when I'm about to lie. So the truth is I'm not going to be real quick. But we're going to talk about Jefferi, Ready to Love, and the Blake situation with her, Morgan, because they did discuss it on this reunion. And I'll talk a few things else about reunion as well, whilst we're at it there as well. Listen, I'm wrapped up warm, nice, snugged up. You understand? Because we've got a super panel a little bit later on, in about an hour's time. It's just under an hour's time having a super panel as well. So this reunion part two. This reunion part two. Baby, let me tell you something. This reunion part two was something. Was it not something? Nah, I got to be honest with you. I think one of for overall the reunion, I think part two was climactic. It was anticlimactic. Let's be honest. I've got a bit of a cold, so to bear with me, right? But this reunion part two was anticlimactic, and it fell flat because you lot banged us with the episode one. The first part was heavy. I was just seeing bangs left, right, and center, and then part two started off with a bang, and it ended up with a flop. I was like, blood. I don't get it. Y'all are addicted to the drama. But then you don't give us the drama. You don't stage the drama very well, sir, madam. Okay, the madness should have been at the end. Yeah, it should have started off slow in part two and built up to the climax. But instead, you give us a climax and then we ended at the end was boring. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean? So it was rather anticlimactic as well. So that was a shame about the reunion in that sense. But the overall reunion was actually really good. Just the way it ended could have been better, right? So, hats off to the show for another good season. I can't lie to you. The season was pretty decent. Now, let's talk a little bit about what I put title to this video. Jefferi tried to gas. And I wish I had the notes of where it was. Maybe I do. Let me check. I'm going to check through. See, I have the notes on where it was spoken about, because Jefferi tried to come out as if she had forgotten what she had said about Blake. I was like, baby, you called him a whole narcissist, and now you're talking about how okay he is. Jefferi came out and said that. Morgan came out and said, oh, he's a whole malignant cancer, and then forgot they even said these confusing, disgusting lines about Blake. But all of a sudden now he's all right. We ain't going to address the fact that they called him out his name. We ain't going to address the fact that they labeled him. We're not going to address the fact that these were very harsh and very strong lyrics and labels on somebody that caused a lot of the audience to also see Blake in a very disgusting way, right? And so many people were like, you haven't seen Blake before. I had messages from people saying, you haven't seen Blake before. I mean, I've dealt with an ex just like Blake, and da 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 da. So many messages at the beginning of the season. Coach, you don't understand. I have an ex like this. He was the exact same way. Now I've got to question some of your exes. Like, maybe they weren't that crazy. Maybe you were crazy. Maybe you were the problem. Maybe you were the one that was an issue. Huh? Maybe some of you were the ones that were the issue. Maybe it wasn't your boyfriends. Maybe it wasn't your ex-husbands. Maybe it was you. Maybe you need to be looking at you because we just saw two women come on our screens and literally gaslight us like they didn't say something completely wild about this man. Right? Some people told us, wait till the end of the season. They know who they are. They told us to wait till the end of the season. We got to wait and see. Because at the end of it might come out in the reunion. Wait till the end of the season. We are at the end of the season. We have not seen the danger you guys are talking about. Right? We're at the end of the season and we ain't seen the danger y'all are talking about. And I wish I had the clip where it was. I was so mad, you know, and so there should have been, there should have been some real conversations around Tony, real conversations around the Blake situation with Jefferi and Morgan. We can see. Do you know what I hate? What I hate most, and I think I said this every season, I hate the fact that classy is put as a label for people who don't argue. We should be able to discuss and draw out people in a classy way. Being classy does not mean we throw things underneath the rug. I really hate that image that we have, not just for us as people, but in general. People put classy as we didn't argue. That's not how you deal with things. If you being classy means you don't argue, you're going to find yourself in a ditch real soon. We need to be classy, but call you out in the same manner, in the same fashion. Meaning we have a framework to how we go about this. Meaning I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to ask you some questions. And then we're gonna question your narrative. And when you get irate, we can say, hey, listen, we're just having a conversation. Just trying to find out what's the truth. Right? We can call people out without it ever being a situation where it has to be unclass, has to be tasteless. Right? But this whole excuse of where a classy show, it's wild to me. Very wild to me. And so yeah, for me personally, I was taken aback by that. But every season it happens. We always say it's a classy show, so people start arguing it's a classy show, and it's like we are not a classy show, bruv. We are not that classy as we like to make ourselves. We're acting like we're bougie. We're not bougie. We just need to hold people accountable when they move, man. That's all. That's all. If you can't show us how to do that properly, how do you expect people to do that in their relationships? You know what I mean? If you can't show us that on the screen, how to classily disagree and bring up points, how are you expect people to be ready to love? Oh, well, we did some time. I don't want to do this, I want it to be. And I'm ready. I'm ready to love. You want to sing this anthem, but we need you to be holding people accountable. Because you ain't ready to love if you don't know how to hold people accountable without it becoming a complete and utter doo-doo show. Right? That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I personally just want to be able to have that kind of conversation, because at points, for instance, Morgan's behavior even towards Marcia, Morgan's behavior towards Mark Anthony, nobody's going to call her out. Nobody's going to say, hey, look, your behavior is out of order. We're just going to let these guys and women run rogue on the streets. And then, I'm sure this is probably why these comments are going to get back to Nephew Temi, I'm sure. I don't know how much he feels about me, but, dropping the whole little comment in there, like, and this is why our black women, are feeling some type of way. Negro, you had so many black women on this season who were running rampant and riot, blood. They needed check-in. But this is why we have so many black women. And if you don't get the heck out of here, Tommy, like, yo, brother, I know you see what you see in front of you, Kez. And listen, if he's not up to the task, let's get someone who will be. I'm just saying. Okay? Yeah? I'm just saying. So, personally, I want to see better for us, man. Do you know what I mean? I want to see better for us. That the men and the women need to be held accountable on every season. Every season, they need to be held to task and held to account, and everybody needs to be like, hey, look, this behavior, out of order. This behavior, out of order. This behavior was out of order. And instead of trying to put this kumbaya stuff that's going on. Let me see if I can even get the. I want to see if I can get a clip about. I don't know if I find it. Let's see if I can find it.
But it's all love. I love y'all.
I'm proud of us. We did.
I'm proud of us.
I'm proud of everybody here.
I love you guys.
Well, give yourselves a round of applause.
Okay, so I think that's where they had everybody was clapping. Thing. I want to get the part where they were addressing Blake. They addressed Blake, and you know, Jefferi was coming out and saying, you know, 2 penny pence, and you know, letting us know that, you know, it's not beef with Blake. You know, it's not beef with Blake. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's not beef with Blake. It's like, but babe, are you that means you lied on this man. The section where they're talking about the receipts of the past, whatever, there was a text and you know, he texted me and we had a conversation, and you know, it could sound a bit like it was controlling. It can sound like it was controlling. You call this whole man a whole narcissist. No, can we be clear about that? My back's itchy. You know, can we be clear about that? Can we be clear about that? So, you know, you call this man a whole narcissist, but now you're backtracking to say, well, you know, it's the way you had a conversation. It could have sounded like you were controlling. Could have sounded like. Baby, you literally call this man a whole narcissist. So this is what I'm saying about being called out and being like, hey, you know what, those comments, I think it deserves an apology to Blake. Right? I believe it deserves an apology. Because you called him out his whole name and you made it seem like he was the enemy. And he's not. Right? Morgan too. In fact, if you want to see anything to Morgan and Jefferi, let's keep it a buck and let's keep it real. This is what they are, two peas in a pod who don't care about right or wrong. So long as they are in the right, so long as they're together, they're gonna make sure. Okay.
Dre looks even more scarier to me. And the way they up each other's asses, I can't.
You okay? Yeah, man.
Hey, I'm proud of you, man.
I see.
Like, Jefferi and Morgan will stick it out even in their wrongs. And it's like Jefferi can't call out Morgan for her wrong, and Morgan can't call out Jefferi. They're two toxic individuals in terms of their behavior. Let me say that in terms of their behavior. Two toxic behaving women together who support each other in their toxicity. Don't call each other out, don't ask to do better, you know, and want to blame everybody else but themselves. Right? It's almost like two mean girls becoming friends over their common enemies. And so, yeah, I was looking for some accountability. I was hoping to see maybe, you know, Leffy Tommy would call them out for their behavior because of the way they behaved. But no, they continued. And the show didn't show us that these two were going to be corrected. In fact, they were left to their own devices. You know, they were left to their own devices. And for me personally, yeah, I seeing Morgan's behavior was kind of scary. And I did watch her interview with Carlos King. Now I don't want to be picking fights with people because that's not what I'm about. But we are going to critique it in a classy way. What part of Carlos King did he hold Morgan accountable? I need you to understand, like, what the interview of Carlos King and Morgan that I watched. What part did he hold her accountable, or at least ask questions and question her truth being as it was? When she started the interview, she started it off by saying, well, she doubled down at first by going back over the comment which Tony made about their relationship, right? About their relationship, and said, you know, it's not toxic. By the end, she did kind of say that she was toxic, that it was a little bit toxic, right? She said that by the end of the interview, she did kind of, you know. So, but we're not holding. We're not. How do we expect people to change if we're not telling them what behavior was wrong? Right? How do we expect them to change if we don't tell them their behavior is wrong? You know? And I'm sure, yeah, if he's probably has got a show, he's probably got a show for her. And so that's why I can understand it's business. At the end of the day, it's business. He probably wants to keep business good. What can I say? I can't be mad at it. It is business. You know, it is business. You know, first and foremost. So I've got to be aware of that as well. You know, so I gotta be fair to that. You know, but it was barely in it. There was account holding there for the situations she played. Right, she doubled down on the Nair situation and told us it was fair game. And because the person didn't react in a mad way, she was okay with her actions. Right? To me, that's nuts. Like, if we don't call that shit out, someone could get genuinely hurt because we're literally glorifying this kind of behavior. I talk about the men. Y'all have heard me every season talk about men and how dangerous they can be. We spoke about Zoe. We spoke about Troy some seasons ago, right? People who do some wild ass stuff and their behavior is off. And how you can become a physical danger to people. Morgan, by the way she talks and the way she's unremorseful about that Nair situation and what we've seen on the show, is a danger to physicality. Right? I'm probably not going to get an interview with her now if I keep saying this kind of stuff, right? But the reality is we have to tell the truth. And if I don't tell the truth, then, you know, I'm not doing my job. Sorry about that, guys. My internet. But yeah, on the reunion, it seemed like, you know, there seemed to be no stopping Morgan. Like, literally. Let's have a look. Let me see if I can get some clips. I want to get some clips here where she argued with Marcia. Okay, yeah, it's where she argued with Marcia. Even in the corridor, it turned into a bitter feud. Let me see. Yeah, so I'll play that clip. So I'll play it in a minute. You know, even in the corridor with Marcia, you know, just turning on Marcia the way she did, it's telling me there's a lot of unresolved issues and trauma there, a lot of unresolved anger there, you know, and and can I be real with you as a man? Look, you know, I told you Morgan is sexy to me, like she's beautiful to me, she is absolutely stunning to me. But my life is on the line if I decide to ever date someone like Morgan. Right? Not only my life, but anybody in close proximity could be in danger. And I'm really not trying to overplay this. I'm being absolutely freaking real. Right? You know, that behavior, because it's unchecked, as we saw, it spilled over to even Marcia. It spilled onto Natasha. Right? It spilled onto Blake. Right? It keeps spilling over, which means anybody in the vicinity could be hurt by whatever Morgan chooses to do whenever she feels she's viable. Now, she came out and did tell us, that, you know, she chose, in the Carlos King interview, she came out and said, you know, that she chose herself and it was a get back at Tony. We knew that already. We knew it was a get back. We knew you weren't choosing Tony, choosing not to go Tony because you didn't want to choose Tony, because you want to choose yourself. We knew that. Oh, the water tastes like liquid gold. Right? We knew that already. Yes, Mark Anthony caught one too. Right? And Mark Anthony, she says that she loves Mark Anthony. And yet Mark Anthony's catching strays too. Right? This is somebody who said that will destroy you. This is somebody who said that don't let me hurt you. We cannot underplay it. Look, too many people get too highly strong on Tony, right? Because they're like, Tony's got the DV vibe. If I see Tony, I got the DV vibe. It's like, so many people want to point out the Tony situation, right? It's easy to spot a man when he's low-key angry. It's easy to spot a man who gets frustrated and he looks like he can hurt me, right? But on this season, Tony never physically threatened anybody, right? Tony never physically threatened anybody. All he did was get emotional, get angry, and that be it. Never got into nobody's face, never squared up to anybody, you know, never threatened to do anything to anybody. And yet women can see, oh, I can see he can do the DV vibe. But we can't see that Morgan can do bruv. And if you're a man, you need to pay attention because you cannot ignore Morgan's toxicity. All right? You cannot ignore her toxicity because of her beauty. If you're a man ignoring the toxicity because of her beauty, we got a problem. Hence, I'm saying about also Tony too become problematic, because if you ignore, I don't care how much you know Morgan, she's outwardly letting you know this behavior isn't changing. So how are you ignoring the fact? How are you ignoring the fact that that Morgan has done these things, right? So, we can talk about Tony as well. Don't worry, we'll talk about Tony because he knew what he was doing too. Yeah,
it's no problem. Just don't mention me.
Sweetheart, because every time I say something with your name in it, you get real.
That was your first time, and that's why you got
red.
No,
that's not the first time.
It's going down out there. Yeah.
So even a situation with Marcia, it's like, yo, bruv, how can you be drawing out Marcia too? And I said this in my other video, Morgan draws out people as soon as they disagree with her. But especially if you're a woman and you had any interest in the man of her interest as well, you're gonna get drawn out. Right? You're gonna get drawn out. So this behavior, all right, is terrifying. This is the kind of stuff that I hate because it's similar to the Blue and the Christian Rock situation. I hate them. Them two are the most. We need people to tell them, listen, we need people to help them. They need counseling. They need therapy. They don't need a TV show. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. We get it. There are some people that are dysfunctional and they make great TV. Not when they get to a point when they can physically harm people. Not to that point. That's not great TV at that point. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's crazy things that are happening, bro. Like, but
it's the flirt on top. He was just like landing on thick. But I can't deny that out of all the guys.
Look at Morgan. Look, the girl cannot even sit straight when Marcia's talking about Tony. Listen, I'm just being real, man. I'm just being real, man. Listen, look, I get it, man. I get it. I understand. Breakups hurt. People that we love who don't show us same love back, it hurts. We know these situations are painful for people. We know that these situations are in a. And I listened to the Carlos King interview with Tony as well, and they clarified that what he meant was their environment is toxic, right? Ready to Love environment is toxic. Nah, Tony, you and Morgan are toxic. Yeah, your love for each other is embroiled in toxicity, right? It's stewed and it's brewed in toxicity. So, like there's no like, oh, Ready to Love was a toxic environment. No. Ready to Love, what it does is it creates a competition environment, and then it asks you the question, what kind of person are you? right? What kind of person are you? That is what Ready to Love does. Ready to Love creates an environment that doesn't force you to be against some people, right? It creates an environment for competition, and it asks you the question, what are you going to do? And it's very much, and I'll give you an example. We had to do what we call the golden theory, right? We did an experiment in uni, or no, when I was starting my job some 3-4 years ago, right? Some 3-4 years ago, they gave us a task, and then they incorporated golden theory. I think it's golden game theory, right? Or game theory, I think it's called, right? And what that means is what it does is it puts a question. Let's say, for instance, a question saying team A can win 500, team B can win 500, team A and B can take up 250 or whatever, right? And in game theory, what will happen is most people will go for the win-loss scenario. They won't go for the win-win scenario, right? Because their mindset is other team has to lose in order for me to win. What Ready to Love does is it puts that environment. It creates an environment where it makes it competitive, and everybody thinks that they have to go into, you got to lose, I got to win. The environment that's toxic is the people that go within it, right? Who start playing the game, right? What reason? And listen, don't get it twisted. I agree that Ready to Love, with the fact that people get eliminated and people go out early, and the fact that the producers choose who's going to go for TV. Here's the thing. Here's the real thing. If you're concentrating on connection, the TV can't stop you. But a lot of people are there for TV, right? So if you're there for a connection, the TV can't stop you, right? The TV can't stop you. Can't stop you. If you decide that you want to talk to someone and you like them, and you get a week or two to speak to them, and you find it, you're gonna holler them after, right? So, but the environment, the environment is one that allows for people to get out of pocket. It creates an environment for you to be able to be toxic, but it doesn't have to necessarily be toxic on its own, and so yeah, some of the people that are put on these shows, it's political, yeah, I know, yeah, that was the confusing thing. That's because when Morgan gets angry, everything goes out the window, right? She talked about how Tony is not a kind man when he's angry, when she's talking about herself. Baby, you're the one that's not kind. You're the one that's not considerate. You're the one that's not nice when you get angry, Morgan. You know what I mean? Jefferi too. But I do have to admit, I have to admit that Tony played Natasha. Now, let's keep it real, right? He did. I love Tony. I like Tony. I think he's a great guy, right? I love his energy. But he knows he game played. Okay? He game played. He had no interest in Natasha on a deeper scale. And that's okay. We don't have to lie, right? He saw an opportunity and he took it. All right? Natasha too. You downright know. After 2 weeks, you don't know that man from Adam. You don't know who the heck he is. Okay? You don't know who the heck he is. All right? So let's not pretend as if he played you for a fool. You're a grown-ass adult. You know exactly what you are doing. Well, you guys building a relationship? Right? So, both of y'all were playing silly, but yes, Tony was manipulating. Tony was manipulating. He manipulated the situation with Natasha, got what he needed to get out of the situation, had sex, okay, all right, had sex, and boom, it is what it is, right? Y'all dated for 2 weeks, and then he ghosted you, And I don't believe the truth. I don't believe the nonsense about she told the producers, he told the producers that that we had sleeping together. That's why I blocked you. No. You blocked her once you had finished and you had done what you'd done, and you realized that potentially she's not going to go away quietly. Okay, you realize that she's not gonna go away quietly. Yeah, you're not gonna go away quietly. So once you realize you're not gonna go away quietly, you blocked her. Okay, and then you focus on your attentions with Morgan as well. Someone said that obviously it was longer than 2 weeks; it was a month. I have to see that video. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll try and see if I can see it. Let's see if I can find it as well. That conversation, because I think it popped up on my feed. It pops up on my feed, so I'll try and see if I can see it. Let me see if I can see it. I can see that they had a conversation, so let me try and bring that up and see if anyone. Okay, so here's my thing, right? Tony played, right? So Tony does have to take accountability as well, right? He a player from the Himalayas, and I'm not even saying that in a positive way. I'm saying that in a way of, if you're really here to love, bro, the game's got to stop. The game's got to stop, right? If you really here for the love situation, bro, the games have got to stop. Yeah, tearing up pant and entering pissoirs, all right, and more than one pissoir too. Listen, internet tried to take me out of the game, bro. But yeah, so let me bring up the clip anyway, because I think there was a clip on Sabrina's channel. And then I gotta get off because we're gonna start the live soon. So, Tony gotta take some accountability too,
Where I was like, all right, I told them ahead of time that I'm not coming there to assassinate anybody's character. But
hold on, let me just play it from the beginning.
It was like my whole 12 seconds.
I got it. How you doing, Natasha?
I'm well. How y'all doing?
Good.
Let's see this video.
I had to run and get my laptop because I thought about it and I was like, I know it's going to be on StreamYard, and StreamYard does not like phones. So thanks for waiting.
No worries, but I'm glad too, because now you're able to see the chats as well, huh?
Yes. Oh yeah, I can't turn that on. I had it on the private chat. So
Yeah.
I don't do well with that. So that is like, I'll give y'all kudos because I can't, like, all the interviews I've done, they'll say like, oh, in the comments, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know what's going on in the comments. I can't do both.
Yeah, trying to moderate everything. I don't think people understand, like, it's so many different moving parts.
I feel good. I'm here with one of my best friends, and I feel good. I mean, going in, like, I knew that they weren't going to play everything. You know what I'm saying? And from the previews, I kind of felt like I could already see the editing. So I honestly was like, all right, let me see how this is going to go, because I know they're about to play me. And they didn't play everything that I would have wanted them to play. But, I mean, at least they played, like, I guess like the core of what I said. They didn't play the part where I was like, nobody didn't tell you that. And they cut that part out. And I definitely had a moment where I was like, all right, I told them ahead of time that I'm not coming there to assassinate anybody's character. But if I don't send for you, don't come for me, is what I said to the EP that talked to me before the reunion. And she said, yeah, I don't think that you're that type of person to do that. And like, blah, blah, blah. I said, but let me make it very clear, like, don't disturb me. And that's when the EP told me that it came out that I was, that Tony and I were dating off camera. And my immediate response to her was, why? And she said, I don't know. And I just wanted to tell you so that you knew, like, weren't blindsided. And I said, at this point, it's giving grasping for straws. Like, I was on the show for 2.5 seconds. Like, why is my name coming up at any point? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Like, leave me over there. And she basically, said, like, I don't know if it's going to be in the final edit. We just started editing, blah, blah, blah. So I came in thinking and feeling like I knew that it was going to come out that Tony and I were dating off camera. That's what I was told. And she told me that if anything else was, came about or whatever, and, that they were just in the final or the like preliminary parts of like editing it, she would give me a call and let me know. My negative energy was towards Tony and Tony only, because I thought that he was just looking for another moment and trying to stay relevant. And he just brought that out on his own. And since then, I found out that I guess production basically said, oh, well, she's going to tell it. So, this is what's going to come out. And I was like, that's the oldest trick in the book. If you want to know something, tell somebody you already know it so that they can confirm it. And then you're really telling them. Like, come on. At this big age, we don't know that.
Right. Did it ever come out how it originally was brought forth to the producers?
I really think that it was they knew that he and I were dating off camera. And I think that they just kind of put two and two together. Maybe they knew that, I don't know. They must have put something together.
Not to cut you off, but how do they know that you were dating off camera?
I don't know, because I had a conversation with the producers really close to when I left, and they already knew then. And I confirmed it. There was never a rule that I wasn't supposed to date someone after I left. I was encouraged by a couple of the producers after. Well, at least now you don't have to wait on, to be set up on a date and you can explore. And it was like, oh, that's true. Because the rule as it was.
Hold on a minute now. So wait, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Y'all were dating off the show. The producers found out you guys were dating off the show. Number two, not only did they find out, but then they found out that y'all were smashing too. Okay, so you found out that well, let me put it this way. They asked you a question and you pretty much confirmed it. It's basically what you're saying, right? You didn't go outright telling them that you were smashing Tony, but they would have asked you a question and you would have confirmed it. You know what I mean? They asked you a question also, what, you two smashing? Oh yeah, like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they asked you a question, so what, y'all two smashing? Like, I mean, it might not be like a direct question. I mean, we're grown. Well, that's the answer. And actually, that means you told them. You know what I mean? Because how would they know that you're smashing? Right? So someone might have fished, asked a question, and you unfortunately said something inadvertently that actually said yes. Okay? All right? So while I was just saying that Tony may have been looking to have a moment, yeah, you somehow got involved in this situation and don't want to take no accountability. Right? Because you wrapped up in this now.
Presented to us was that you can't, like, don't date off camera because they didn't want the gaps in the storyline. Huh?
Why do you think you got sent home?
I'm not gonna say that because I haven't reviewed my contract again. But and I can't be the one to violate the contract. Like, I'm a lawyer. I do contracts. I handle breach of contracts. Like, I can't be that person. I just haven't had time yet to review it again. So I'm not gonna say that yet. But I had a conversation with her and she, I was like, well, they said, now I don't have to wait. I can, if I have any connections. And she was like, well, did you like any of the guys? And I was like, well, not really. But there was one guy that I exchanged numbers with and I, would be interested in seeing that. And she was like, well, they probably could tell that you didn't really like anyone and blah, blah, blah. So, I had that conversation with her from then and was never told that and went forward with it. So I don't know what the MO was. If it was an MO, maybe somebody else really did go to the producers, but they cannot say, not one producer can say, Natasha told me blah, 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 blah. I still chose to not attack Tony for all the things I could have said. And
this is given the P.O. the Kia situation. This is giving me the Kia and PO situation all over again. And that situation, I was quite close to it. Because obviously I'd spoken to a few people, you know? So, yeah. Sign it right. Yes. Something is not right. Yeah, PO looks stressed because he's been here before. When people start telling stories about who told producers, blah, 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 it don't come out of thin air. People snitching. You know, people snitching, right? Now, we know that Tony told Morgan and Marcia a little bit later on, but at that point, that's later on. This is a little bit sussy.
Even if I did attack him at the reunion, because again, I thought that was him trying to look for his moment. I don't know what they're trying to get from this show or move from here, but I would have attacked him. And then I would have seen the episode, and then I would have been like, oh, I got beef with Morgan? Oh, shucks, okay. And then I would have had a conversation with Tony after the fact and been like, oh, wait, I got beef with the production too? Like, dang. Like, I just would have been moving on from beef to beef to beef. So I'm glad that I was just kind of like, okay, like, whatever. You know, nobody didn't tell you that, and let's not lose sight of what really is at issue here.
I want to ask you this. So after you got...
I don't get it. What's the beef with Tony? Like, I'm confused. What's the beef with Tony? You know, like, why are you beefing Tony? Apart from the fact that he blocked you. So if that's the beef, that's fine. You know, but I don't get it. You know, something's not making sense here as to the amount of energy they're putting into, into the situation. Way too much energy into the situation. Right? I agree. I think Tony definitely told to get ahead of the story. I think he realized, let me tell her, because if producers now know, this is going to get to Morgan eventually. So let me get ahead of it and tell Morgan. Right? I think once, and maybe he found out something a little bit later, realized production now know, let me get ahead of it. Let me tell Morgan, I don't want a situation. Yeah.
Eliminated from the show, the producer still was like you got a connection, you should still explore those connections. They told you to still explore them.
That was, yeah, but I was still on, it was at the mixer. Like, I don't know how it was for y'all, but afterwards, so basically after I got eliminated, you saw that part, and you probably even saw the part where Morgan herself hugged me and was like, beautiful woman, like, so sorry you're going home, call me, like, all that stuff, whatever. And then I left, and then one of the EPs was like, oh, I need you to walk through here and like go out the door. So I was like, all right, you know, I'm trying to be like a team player. Right. I walk through the door, I come back, do that again, walk back, do like the walk of shame twice, walk out the front door, and then I get out there and I'm just like, now what?
Right.
And one of the other producers that I was cool with, he was out there and he was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to be out here. And I was like, can I leave? Can I go home? And he's like, what do you mean? No, like, why are you here? And I'm like, because I need to get my stuff and I need to go home. You don't have to wait on us to set you up on dates. And I was like, yippee. Like, okay. And then another producer came and said the same thing. So it was still at the mansion in the initial mixer. Like, it wasn't after the fact.
Wow.
So they encouragement. Right.
Yeah, they wanted to be messy.
Yeah, exactly.
I fell for it. I mean, if that's the case, I fell for it. So
yeah, they was acting like the Secret Service with us. Like,
facts. Let me ask you this question: did you or did Tony Did you ask Tony to step away from the show, or did he tell you that he wanted to do that or no?
Absolutely not. So I might as well tell the whole story. So basically, after we exchanged numbers, so that whole threw her number at me or whatever, the first text message in my phone with Tony White is, please hold. The very, very, very first text message with him says, sorry, I have to scroll up a lot to get to the initial one. It says, Tony, this is Natasha. So how did I throw my phone number at him? And that was the first part that I was like, threw my phone number, like, you chose those words. So, I didn't let him just do the fake accountability thing with me where it's like, oh, I own that, or this is why I did it. It's like, okay, but at the end of the day, like, you have some skin in this, you know what I'm saying? So we exchanged numbers, then texted him, said, Tony, this is Natasha. When I got to the car, my phone was dead, but I had missed call and text message. Then that's when the next time we talked, then he actually had a double date that day and told me about it, but didn't tell me who, and I didn't ask. And I basically said to him, like, hey, like, let's just, like, you finish the show out. If you don't find love and I'm still single when it's done, then we could see where it is. And he was like, oh, that's what you want? Like, that's what you want to do? And I said all of this at the reunion. All of this was said, so this is not a surprise to anyone that was there. I said this. And he said to me, like, oh, that's what you want to do? Da, 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 da. So I had my moment where it was like, okay, do I see this through, or do I just say, like, no, like, you're gonna stay on the show, da da da. My focus at that time was that I'm not an ultimatum type of girl. Like, because I said if the roles were reversed and I was on the show and you weren't, then I wouldn't want you to tell me what you want me to do. And he was like, oh, but I would. And I said, well, respectfully, I would still have to make my decision, which you have to do the same thing. So what is the difference with me telling you I want you to stay, I want you to, like, you know, go or whatever, or leave the show, because you still gonna make the decision. So it's your decision. If you want to leave, leave. If you don't, then don't.
So what ultimately ended that relationship between you two?
Basically, when we filmed the intro that y'all see in the show, which was the same day that Morgan and Lyndon had their date, I found out about that, I don't know how many days before, we'll say about a week before. And when I found out about it, I was like, how is Tony gonna maneuver this? Like, he's still on the show. There must be something that he has going on, whether he's being genuine or sincere about it. How is he going to maneuver? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is he going to maneuver that if I'm going to walk in and greet him the way that I normally would or something? That's what I seemed like. I thought that to be like the normal thing to do. But instead, he ghosted me. Like, he just like disappeared. And I went on social media because I was like, oh, he didn't like text. He didn't hit me back on this day. So the next day, because I'd heard that he had like a drinking problem and was drinking and showing out. So I literally was like, all right, let me put my...
It's confusing. I'm more confused than when I started. I should have never played it. I'm more confused than when I started. I should have never played it. I didn't get any clarity at all. You know, no, I shouldn't have to wait. I didn't understand that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't understand a word. I didn't understand a word that was being said there, and that was English. Kenya from Kale says, now you don't have to wait to be set up on dates, means you can be free to go back to regular dating. No producer told her to date a contestant. I hear you. 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 Honestly, I don't know what's going on there. I have no clue. I was like, bro, I don't know where we're going. Bro. She made me tired, bro. You know me, I normally have words to say, but I'm a bit tired, bro. I don't know what's going on. At this rate, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. She told him he could date other women on the show. She was fine with it, with an entanglement, my dude. Oh, no, I get that part. I do get that part. I'm just saying the overall narration of the situation is where I got lost. You know what I mean? The overall narration. But yeah, you're right about that part. You know, you're right that part. I just mean overall, it's just confusing. That's what I meant. Yeah, I don't get that part either. And that's what I said about the whole, just because someone ghosted you, is that how the reaction's so harsh? Like, I don't get that, how it turned into one of those moments that, you know, that you guys having such a moment where you're calling him a bad father. You know, I don't understand why that was the next step for her, you know, from drunkard to bad father. It's like, That's a bit of a heavy step. Why that step? Anyway, I gotta jump onto the next live. So, you know, maybe that's very true. Maybe that's the reason why as well, because it was not clear at all. Yeah, you know. So, yeah, that was a bit much. But anyway, we'll definitely do some more videos during the course of the week. Just to let you guys know, we got 2 interviews lined up. I'm trying to line up more interviews, but I've got 2 interviews lined up this week as well. We got Monday and Friday for you guys. Oh my god, mercy of God, I'm yawning out here because I've got 2 interviews lined up for you guys. I got both Anthony and Cynthia lined up this week. Coming up soon, so we'll get those 2 guys towards you. Got Cynthia this week, and we'll have that on Monday, and then we've got Anthony on a Friday as well. All right, so 24th and 28th, the Friday and the Monday, we got lives with these 2 great people. We gonna get some truths out. Okay, we gonna get some truths out. We gonna get the realness out. We're gonna have the real conversation. Okay, and I'm working on the Morgan and Tony one. Tony definitely, because I know he spoke to me. He said he will do it. I'm not sure about the Morgan one just yet. So we gonna get some conversations flowing. Okay, so we gonna get into that. But listen, we're gonna jump on to the next live. If you don't know, we do a super panel where we talk as a group about the Ready to Love reunion. Don't miss it. Jump over to that particular live right away as well, guys. All right, so we'll see you again in a few minutes. Much love and appreciation, guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Let me leave you here with something. I'm going to leave you something new, okay? Sometimes you got to end on a good note, man. Appreciate